Now it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker. Tony Chahine is the CEO of Myant. He's an electrical engineer and an entrepreneur with a very successful history of store chains, pioneering sustainable clothing, pioneering sustainable fabrics. Myant's stated mission is to integrate technology into textile, creating a continuous digital presence to better connect, enhance, and protect humanity. I wanted to add personally that Tony, like many of us, was inspired as he watched a close family member struggle with a debilitating disease. And he decided to dedicate the rest of his life, or this portion of his life, to letting his family member, but all of us, live more functional, happy and dignified lives. And that's what makes Tony a wonderful person, and that's what makes Myant a wonderful company. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Lisa. I grew up in a small town in Lebanon. My grandma lived with us, and we were extremely close. The town had one doctor, one barbershop, one soccer field, and everybody knew what's going on. Information traveled super fast. My grandma, I was 10 at the time, she had this magic ability to predict what's my next move. When I didn't sleep well, she had something for me. When I skipped school, she knew about it, and I got punished. And the doctor knew the whole community, who's sick, who's not sick, who's doing well. There was one doctor. And, you know, my grandma was able to read those markers, those tells, and she was able to anticipate and predict what's going on with me and the rest of my family. So I wonder, this concept of continuous and predictive and anticipatory data, if it's a new concept or something we have been living with for a long time ago. In my time, at my time when I was 10, that's like approximately 42 years ago, there was no technology. So my mom and my grandma basically used the barber and the soccer field and the school teacher as their IoTs, and she was the AI. And basically, she was able to guide me, and for me, personally, I missed that. I felt super safe, even though the information was, you couldn't escape it. I felt I belonged, I could participate, and the rest of the community was able to feel the same. So today, we at Myant, we call that the grandma effect, this ability to connect and to stay on continuously. And my journey is to find this, to develop this new presence that could keep us connected and build this future relationship between us and the advancement of technology. You see, today we have lots of technologies around us, but in many ways we're not connected. And I'm not sure, this is not moving fast. And you know, I think we need a deeper understanding of ourselves. I think we need technology to participate with us, and I think 100% of the population need to participate with technology in order for technology to flow, and many people are left behind, notwithstanding all the advancement in technology. I know from my personal experience, someone who's handicapped, someone who's dementiated, someone who has certain illness will be somehow not as involved as someone who's healthy. So, you know, I would like to find a way for us to participate in this future advancement, the future of AI, but more importantly, I want to find a way for all of us to be connected. So I have some thoughts and some ideas, and I think given the the amount of technologies around us, I'm going to call it the symphony of IoTs, so many of development happening, and you'll see shortly I'll talk about the amount of expenditure in technology. I think it will be very difficult for humans to interact with all of these technologies at once, specifically if you're not conscious or if you're sleeping or you're sick. The future of technology requires us to be continuously on, and we have to find a way, I think, to eliminate or to minimize this input-output limitation, and trying to create a universal standard to access the body operating system, not just a location based a chest band or a wristband or something else. I think we need to find a way to access the entire operating system of the human body. So, and that system has to mimic our skin. Our skin could sweat as a reaction to certain things, could shiver, you can have a goosebump. So I would like to find an interface that could also be, as I said, bidirectional, that could sense, that could record, and uniquely it can respond. So what I'm talking about is creating and building a brand new category, a category we call a textile computing. This category, we're basing it on textile. And why textile? I guess, why not? Textile is already 100% around us. Textile and humans are inseparable. It covers 100% of the body, of the population, 100% of the demographic. And what I mean by that is, sometime if you are a certain age, whether you're a toddler or you're an elderly, many of the technology that we have today does not play a role in that participation. So if textile, for sure, is covering everyone. It covers us on a 24 hours, whether you're sleeping on a bed or you're wearing textile, it's already there. But one of the very important characteristics of textile, it has a faster purchasing cycle. So if textile is a hardware and you're upgrading this hardware, you have a chance to upgrade much more frequently than a handheld device. We currently buy approximately, just in the United States alone, 7.2 billion units of underwears, bras, and leggings. So it's a pretty big number. So if we can have sensors and actuators embedded into it, given the cycle of purchasing, you can upgrade that much more frequently. Not only the software upgrade, you will have a hardware upgrade. Let me read you some data. I'm sure all of you are aware of it. 2020, $60 billion in revenue from wearable devices, $1.4 trillion in IoTs by 2021, and 560 million units in wearable devices. So let me show you some apparel global projection. Currently, there's $3 trillion in consumption in apparel alone. And by 2021, just in underwears alone, there's $145 billion in underwear purchasing. And 2023, 42 billion units in socks, or dollars in socks. If you can imagine merging these two things, technology and textile, into one, and covering the body, you can see how the future of interaction between the body and the digital world could be seamless, but more importantly, based on what we envision a future where computing will be ambient, and you need an ambient interface to connect with that computing world. And textile could play a significant role. By 2022, according to the World Economic Forum, 10% of the global population will be wearing or will be using connected textiles. So that's a massive number. 800 million people. If everyone bought 2 or 3 items, that's like 2 billion units in unit purchasing. So is this kind of a product producible? Is it possible to scale? Is it possible to merge engineering and science and textile and art into one domain? Well, from my experience, it was very difficult. this concept of adding technology into yarn or textile is not a new concept. It existed years ago. In fact, 10 years ago or so, Cornell University developed a fully functioning transistor embedded into a cotton thread. But 10 years after, we haven't seen any of that in any production or any commercial activities. So when I wanted to do this, I traveled where the textile supply chain existed, and at that time was China and India and Sri Lanka, and I found that current supply chain is not prepared to deal with that future technology and that new category of assembling this product in a specific way. You need a very different kind of assembly. You need advanced manufacturing. You need those machines to knit or weave like a CNC machine. They need to understand the environment. You cannot knit or weave in an environment where there's dust, humidity issues, or lack of humidity control. So all of those issues forced us very quickly to build our own. And I did not have any experience in textile or textile manufacturing, so we started from scratch in Toronto, where there is no textile industry, so to speak, left. So to do it, we realized it's not like, let me take a T-shirt and ask someone to buy some electrodes or some inductor and then sew them into some fabric, and then we will have a product and we can sell it. That's not my goal. My goal was I wanted to build a second skin that could cover our body, that could be reliable, that could be washable, that doesn't change any of your habit, or as least as possible, and can function in a bi-directional way and can play a role. I didn't want a toy. I didn't want something just to switch on and off. So we had to develop a complete end-to-end, and it was very important because if you want to develop anything, at least from my experience, it's not possible if you want to build a new category to rely on a fragmented supply chain. You have to do it under one roof. So our facility is 80,000 square feet facility, and we have a complete end-to-end. We start at yarn, and then from yarn we extrude some conductive polymer, we extrude some conductive rubber, we do lots of manipulation in that space, and we have lots of advancement there. And then when we finish, we put it into a fiber or yarn, we knit it, or weave it, or dye it, or whatever the assembly method we follow. And then we take that, and we've been working on building an interconnect between a soft PCB or a mechanical property into textile. Because I personally hated to have some kind of a textile that stretch and behave in the way I enjoy textile, and then attach some kind of electronics that doesn't stretch, or it just makes my experience very difficult. So we had to do it all, and then from mechanical interface to electronics to data science, all the way to production. Now, what's important was I needed to produce every single thing we invent. If we can produce it, I did not want to start it. So we have a complete production. Currently, right now, we have approximately 15 million units per year in capacity, which makes us the only one in the world today in that space. So just to give you kind of, again, some of the, this is our facility. And again, it's important, the textile industry focuses so much on a type of machine. So you have a company that does an underwear, they buy this type of machine. And a company that does a bed cover, it does this kind of you need this kind of machine. For me, I wanted interaction on a 24 hours. I didn't care for the underwear or the socks. I wanted a continuous interaction on a 24 hours. So we needed to be machine agnostic. So we invested in every type of machine and every method of operation in order to make sure that our engineers or our idea makers, when they think of something, nobody says no to them. Because I personally hate that. When you go to someone and say, I have an idea, the first thing somebody says, oh, that's not possible. So we've proven that a lot of those kind of things are actually possible. And we have currently approximately 70 plus issued patents to us. But as of December, we've signed a major worldwide exclusive with a German company called Stoll, and it's the largest provider of 3D knitting machines. So why we did that? Because previously in the slide I mentioned there is approximately 1 billion units plus in demand. We don't think we can produce it all. Our capacity will max out at 50 million units. And from that, we want to democratize manufacturing. We are not interested in doing the entire 100% of the production, but we think with this type of machines, with these type of advancement, you can use them like Kinkos, like where you have like a 3D printers, kind of the same idea where we supply complete end-to-end. And all of that setup, again, my goal was to build an interface that everyone could use it, and everyone could participate. So we started at CES, we launched our brand, and we called it Skin, but with 2 eyes. And the idea behind it was we wanted to create an intelligent interface that is always on. So the first product is an underwear, t-shirt, and a bra. And they're not, you don't have to wear all of them or one of them. You could wear one or all. The more you wear, the more coverage you have on your body and the more resolution you have from the data. The less you wear, the less data that you would be able to collect. But it also could actuate certain things. So when we launched, so if you look at our underwear currently, you can measure respiration, BIA from the waist, ECG, we have motion, posture, etc., skin temperature, and we have some haptic feedback. So currently, you can use the underwear as an example in an ambient computing. If you're sleeping at night and the temperature of the room is hot, it could regulate simple tasks. It could regulate the temperature reading your own body temperature. It could turn the light off if you're reading a book and you're just falling asleep. It detects your respiration data and your ECG. It can start dimming the light off. Again, simple things. Then if you add the socks, if you're wearing socks, like if some of us wear socks every day, you're going to go from the first data and you start adding gait analysis, pressure sensing, balance, certain muscle, swell, and BIA from the feet, which is extremely important. Often we found, for me, I just wanted to know what's going on with my loved one from far away. I hated this, pick up the phone and I say to someone, hey dad, how you doing? And he tell me I'm okay, but you have to decode what he's saying. You have no idea if he's okay or not. So he was in a wheelchair, and then his feet were always swollen, or things like this. So I wanted to know those intricate details that were very important to me, but more important, they're very important to the doctor and to the nurse and to my family. So, and then from an actuation, you can see we deliver some electric muscle stimulation for pain relief or some other stuff, or we deliver heating, again, using the same textile. So it's not like you're going to see wires and some different type of textile. It's the same textile. Hopefully you will see that it's the same as the one you have. You can wash it, dry it. You don't change any of these habits. Then you add a top, long sleeve or short sleeve. Again, you'll have more data. You can start by having GSR, additional hydration. So you can have now global hydration data, but you can also pinpoint. You can say, okay, on the waist or at the socks, and you can detect certain markers this way. So what do I do with this? I mean, what are we trying to do? Again, for me, I wanted to mimic a physical presence. I wanted to mimic a digital presence similar to I wanted to mimic the physical presence in a digital form. So I wanted to be able to have a faraway relationship as if you are in front of me. If I'm a doctor or a nurse or for social activities or for remote monitoring, sport performance, I could see all of that. And if you're not wearing any of this, if you're sleeping naked, our mattress cover can detect a lot of data on an 8 hours or 7 hours sleep. So this way, it makes it easy for us to be truly a good conduit. Our business is focused on building a reliable conduit for anyone that wants to go directly or interact with humans for infinite possibilities. will be a gateway, so people could come in and interact with us using our API, and then they develop their own relationship, be it FDA product, be it fitness, be it healthcare. For us, we wanted to make sure on a 24 hours we have a holistic data as opposed to just hour by hour or symptom-based data. So, you can imagine a future where continuous access to the operating system of the body and the benefit of it. We hear a lot, again, about anticipatory, and we hear a lot about predictive. For me, today, you can go to the hospital, and you could have lots of prediction, but the moment you're discharged from the hospital, you're kind of off-grid again. So I don't believe the future of prediction will be just based on sick people. It's about how do you know with healthy people, everyday people wearing stuff, so you can have a long-range data, you can predict much earlier. And also, I don't see healthy people wearing some medical device to predict some potential issues. I just wanted to show you a video how our textile computing play a role in creating a presence with someone and allow someone to communicate again. Could you help me, please, with the video?
There still is a vital, vibrant, funny, strong person named Jacob Trossman.
Where does the pirate go to the bathroom? The poop deck.
Okay. And recently, so that was Jacob, who have a serious illness, and we have worked with an advanced Toronto hospital that specializes in rehab for young kids with degenerative disease like Jacob. So our collaboration, we do a lot of collaboration with various hospitals across the world. Over here, I want to talk to you about how textile computing could also play a role in an FDA Class 3 medical device. Asahi, a very large Japanese conglomerate, they own a wearable defibrillation company called Zoll. They've recently signed an exclusive relationship with us to develop using our inductors and our unique electrodes and our ability to assemble this garment and to build the Gen 2 of their wearable defibrillation. Zoll is a phenomenal company. They've saved thousands of lives. Essentially, this product, you wear it at home. In the event you're on a standby or waiting list for a heart replacement surgery. But it's a very bulky product. It's difficult to wear, and you have to wear it 24 hours. You cannot take it off. And then my last video is something that really special to me. It's a story of Sam Schmidt. I met Sam at CES this last January. Sam was a famous, race car driver who 18 years ago had an accident driving 190 miles per hour, and he became quadriplegic. So Aero Electronics is a company we do some business with. They wanted to introduce Sam to us. They have seen some of our videos and some of our research on electric muscle stimulation and some interface between what we do and potential exoskeleton one day. And he came to our booth at CES. We had just launched skin product, our skin product, our skin brand. And he said to me, Tony, you have to see his eyes. He's unbelievable for someone who has so much hope, so much drive, so much ambition, yet he has no movement except for his head. And he said to me, look, I just want to be able to walk my daughter down the aisle. I mean, I broke down. I just couldn't believe this man is asking me to do this. And I of course, I said, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure it happened. So 30 days, last week, we measured him. We started with measuring. We wanted to start measuring his body muscles and some of the measurement that he have. So we put a sleeve on him to make sure. We have developed a sleeve with number of electrodes using our Textile interface, where it's very difficult to have those gel electrode, and you don't have the ability to put like hundreds of them, and with all the wires and all of that stuff. In Textile, you can do it in a very fine way, and it looks like every other textile, and the electrode will be interfacing to the skin. So we said, let's start by doing something special first, and I'm going to let the video. If you can show the video, please.
That's a big impact for Sam Schmidt there. The white car's just spinning down the middle of the track. And the worry there, of course, is...
I hit the wall doing about 185 miles an hour and backed in, and as far as I know, it just blew everything apart in my neck. You kind of take it day by day. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months, and the first thing I thought of 18 years ago when I was paralyzed is, you know, I want to walk again. I want to walk my daughter down the aisle. I want to hug my kids. Haven't done that in 18 years, you know, and meeting the group from my aunt has re-energized me into trying to think of the possibilities and what's available. I mean, it seems like it's an impossible goal, but in meeting this group, it's not impossible. I'm blown away, and I think this could be life-changing.
Thank you. Any questions for me? Yes.
You mentioned that you don't want anything rigid on your garment. So how do you do power and the signal processing?
So we started by at first putting the mechanical interface and the power in an area where it doesn't affect your movement. It's not restricting your movement. It's not here or there. So you have to study the body movement first. And we have a very tiny footprint to begin with. And we're using RF wireless charging. We don't like bulky batteries and a large size of batteries. But we think within the next 2-3 years, the current battery as we know it today will disappear. We're working on supercapacitor. I'm sure you're aware of all of those advancements. We're working on Textile, that you can store stuff into Textile with the University of Waterloo and different universities. When you start something, it's just a matter of time. You have to start. So first, our electronics are invisible. But more important, they don't affect your stretch and your movement. So if you're wearing our underwear and you're sleeping with it, we studied it in every way possible. It has the least amount of impact vis-a-vis the benefit that you'll get from it. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Yes?
One more question, and then we're going to have a break in about an hour, and then we can...
But we're here. We're here for the next 2 days. We have a small stand outside if you want to ask me a question after. Of course.
So the internet of things has been hacked. Pacemakers have been, possibly even slim pumps. The more intimate we get with our wearables, the more chances there are for that kind of intrusion. Have you thought about privacy and built in anything?
Yes. Look, it's a very difficult topic, and no one can give you a 100% bulletproof answer. But I think the confidentiality and security is an issue that we're all dealing with. I personally believe it's going to become a regulatory matter. Someone has to deliver a very high standard before you get approved. But you got to start. We have unique ability, I can tell you some ideas, to create a digital identity that would be unique. Given the number of input we get from the body, it could give us a very unique security itself. But, you know, that's a concern, and I don't have a perfect answer for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.